Bon après-midi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Boileau, and I'm honored to serve as the mayor of the city of Timmins. On behalf of our community, I'd like to welcome everyone joining us here today at Canada Nickel's Crawford site and those tuning in virtually. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that we're gathered on the traditional territory of the Matagami First Nation, and I extend my respect to Chief Jennifer Constant and all Indigenous partners who have joined us today. Timmins has always been a city built on hard work, innovation, and partnership. Projects like Crawford represents the next chapter in that story. Our region is also at the center of a rapidly growing Northeastern Ontario zero carbon industrial cluster where mining, innovation, and clean technology are creating real opportunities for our workers and communities. The project will bring new jobs, new investment, and new momentum to our region, showing once again that Northern Ontario has a key role to play in building Canada's critical mineral supply chain and global competitiveness. We have several distinguished guests with us today. I'd like to begin by welcoming Chief Bruce Archibald and Deputy Chief Howard Archibald from Taigwa-Taigmu Nation. The Honourable George Peary, Ontario's Minister of Northern Economic Development and Growth. Gaetan Mallette, Member of Parliament for Kapuskasing, Timmins, and Mushkegowuk. Tori Delorier, Mayor of the town of Iroquois Falls. Patrick Roberts, Mayor of the town of Smooth Rock Falls. And Peter Politis, Mayor of the town of Cochrane. And a special thank you to Canada Nickel Company and the whole team for hosting us for today's important announcement. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Honourable Tim Hodgson, Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, who is here today on behalf of the Government of Canada to share some exciting news about how the Crawford Nickel Project is helping position Canada as a global leader in critical mineral development. Minister Hodgson.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Good afternoon, bonjour. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Boileau, for the introduction. Thank you for the land acknowledgement. And to all of our special guests, elected and friends from First Nations, thank you very much for your hospitality and inviting me to be here today. It's a pleasure to be here in Timmins, a city that has embodied the strength, resilience, and know-how of Northern Ontario for generations. I know that Timmins is a mining town, hence the nickname, the city with a heart of gold. But here beneath our feet lies more than just rocks. Here lies the foundation of our energy, our technology, and our economic future. The foundation upon which we are building Canada strong. Last week, Canada's new government introduced our first budget. This is not just a fiscal document, it's an economic plan and a roadmap to prosperity. One that is generational in its ambition to shape our economy and our nation's future. Because your government and Canadians believe in Canada. Our plan is with this budget to protect what matters most, our people, our communities, and our sovereignty. We will empower Canadians to make life more affordable, creating new career opportunities, and ensuring every generation of Canadians can get ahead. We will sell more of the best of what Canada has to offer to our allies around the world. And we will build right here at home, stronger industries, new homes, and new nation-building infrastructure. This is how Canada will compete and win in this challenging world. Which brings me to why we're here today. In an era defined by geopolitical uncertainty and shifting trade, my number one priority is making Canada an energy and natural resources superpower. That is why I've been working with the Prime Minister, with provinces, with territories, with municipalities, with industry, and with Indigenous communities to find the best energy and resource projects this country has to offer and make sure they get built. The new Major Projects Office is central to that work And it is work that is happening with the urgency this moment requires. This afternoon in British Columbia, Prime Minister Carney announced the next round of major projects that will be referred to the Major Projects Office. The next major milestone in our ambition to build a stronger, more sovereign, and globally competitive Canada. These projects include Silicim's LNG, the North Coast Transmission Line, the Northwest Critical Conservation Corridor, the Sisson Mine in New Brunswick, Iqaluit Hydro in Nunavut, the Nouveau-Monde Graphite Mine in Quebec, and of course, Canada Nickel's Crawford Mine right here in Northern Ontario. Love that. Yeah. You will notice 4 of the 7 projects are related to critical minerals, along with the inclusion of the Foran mine, the Red Chris mine, and the critical minerals transportation strategy in the first tranche announced in September. The focus on critical mineral mining and value-added processing is not an accident. Just like the host of new and expanded measures to support mining in budget 2025 is not an accident. We are laser focused on leveraging the minerals beneath our feet to make Canada a global leader in mining and value-added processing, working with trusted international partners to strengthen supply chains, reduce dependencies, create new career opportunities, and ensure access to mineral resources essential for clean energy, advanced manufacturing, and our national security. We are focused not only on extraction, but also on processing, smelting, and other midstream facilities. These assets are also strategically important. The Crawford Nickel project is a perfect example of nation-building projects that check these boxes. 42 miles north of here, Canada Nickel is developing a mine with a projected lifespan of more than 40 years and the potential to become one of the top 10 nickel producers in the world. Not only that, the project's carbon emissions are estimated to be nearly 90% lower than the global average, with the potential to have a net negative carbon footprint when in full operation. Yeah, that's something to be proud of. Thanks to enabling investments, including a $6.8 million investment from Natural Resources Canada, its Critical Minerals Infrastructure Fund, this project positions Canada as a global leader in low carbon mining and metals processing. It will strengthen Canada's supply of clean, high-grade nickel for batteries and steel, while also creating thousands of good-paying jobs right here in Timmins, and supporting many others in surrounding communities and industries. Further, Canada Nickel is also planning an expansion to commence once mining operations have started, that will expand operations to produce other metals like iron, cobalt, platinum, palladium, and chromium. There are also plans to develop a nickel refinery and the stainless steel and electric vehicles to serve the stainless steel and electric vehicles markets, as well as a stainless steel and alloy production facility. Critically, Indigenous peoples will be equity partners in this project. With the signing of agreements with the Matagami, the Machoan, and the Flying Post First Nations. And the TTN Nation is also investing $20 million in Crawford's mine, a move that will give it a meaningful ownership stake in the project. I will take a moment on the other two mines referred to the MPO today as well, because while every project is uniquely important, we're not just taking a project by project approach. We are envisioning portfolios, corridors, and clusters where entire new industries and supply chains are built across the country. Turning to the next project of national interest, North Cliff Resources Sisson project. After our last tungsten mine closed in this country 10 years ago, this is an opportunity for Canada to revitalize our tungsten production, an important critical mineral with a variety of industrial applications, in particular for defense, which could be crucial in meeting our NATO spending targets and being a good ally. And for the Nouveau Monde graphite, the company is developing a graphite mine that will be integrated with battery material plant, bolstering the emerging battery hub in Bécancour, Quebec, while potentially unlocking future graphite opportunities across Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, just 2 weeks ago at the G7 Energy Environment Ministerial Meeting, I announced the Government of Canada offtake agreement with Nouveau Monde Graphite as one of the 26 deals under the Critical Minerals Production Alliance, testifying to the national importance of graphite. Today's referral builds on Canada's critical mineral strategy, led by my department, which is strengthening critical mineral supply chains essential to the defense and economic security of Canada and our allies. The strategy also looks to advance regions with significant mineral potential, such as Northwest British Columbia, which is being added as a strategy of national interest under the Northwest Critical Conservation Corridor. We can expect more such transformative strategies announced in the near future. As I just mentioned, the referral of these projects also follows my recent announcement of 26 new investment partnerships and measures to accelerate $6.4 billion in critical mineral projects in support of two Canada-led G7 initiatives, the Critical Minerals Production Alliance and the Critical Minerals Action Plan. Budget 2025 further bolsters these efforts by introducing several initiatives to accelerate development of Canada's critical minerals sector. A new $2 billion critical minerals sovereign fund that will make strategic investments in critical minerals and companies through equity investments, loan guarantees, and offtake agreements. And a new first and last mile fund that will be combined with existing critical mineral infrastructure fund to provide $1.5 billion in support for the development of critical mineral projects and processing facilities, with a focus on getting near-term projects into production and minerals to market. We are also making an investment of $443 million under the Defense Industrial Strategy for the development of innovative critical mineral processing technologies, supporting joint investment with allies in Canadian critical mineral projects, and to develop a stockpiling mechanism to strengthen national security. And an expanding coverage and eligibility for key tax incentives like the Clean Technology Manufacturing Investment Tax Credit and the Critical Minerals Exploration Tax Credit to help de-risk projects and move them to production faster. Canada's critical mineral strategy, which has also been referred to the Major Projects Office as a potential transformative opportunity for this nation, will continue to guide our approach to developing resilient and secure domestic and allied value chains, with select projects being referred to the major projects to build critical new infrastructure at speeds not seen in generations. But to turn our minerals into real opportunities, whether that's in batteries, electric vehicles, or clean technology and manufacturing, it takes more than minerals. It also takes energy. Our energy and electricity demand is forecast to double over the coming decades. To enable an electrified economy and provide access to power that businesses around the world are looking for, from AI data centers to manufacturing to steel and aluminum batteries. Moreover, the demand is specifically for power that is not only affordable and reliable, but also low carbon. Fortunately, Canada has a wealth of these energy resources that make our electricity grid one of the cleanest in the world already, an advantage we can build on to make Canada an energy superpower. From hydroelectric dams to nuclear plants to long-distance transmission lines, building new resources of electricity and interties that connect our regions and industries to one another in a generational endeavor across Canada, something that is without doubt nation building. That's why the first wave of projects referred to the MPO in September included the Darlington New Nuclear Project and identified the Eastern Energy Partnership in Atlantic Canada as transformative energy strategies for development. And today, this round features the North Coast Transmission Line, a critical link that brings more power to communities in British Columbia and enables industrial development that could unlock major mining operations in northern British Columbia and support the electrification of the Silesom's LNG project, which is also being referred today to the Major Projects Office. Finally, we are referring Iqaluit Hydro, a project to the Major Projects Office, which will enable Nunavut's capital to transition from diesel to non-emitting electricity. Not only is this significant for reducing pollution and ensuring energy sovereignty, it will also attract the support new businesses for citizens in Iqaluit, opening up opportunities that were previously not possible. It will become Nunavut's first 100% Inuit-owned hydro energy project, a milestone in Indigenous leadership and clean energy innovation. I hope from what I've just described is clear. The projects I'm highlighting today are not isolated efforts. They are part of a larger story, a story of nation building for the future, the story of a nation being its own best customer, and a nation choosing to sell its products to those who share our values, not just our borders. What we're witnessing through the Major Projects Office, Budget 2025, and the efforts of Team Canada, coast to coast to coast, are the first signs of a major economic transformation that will empower the next generation of Canadians. Ladies and gentlemen, Canada has always been proud of its pioneering spirit, but now more than ever, we cannot look back with nostalgia. There is no time for half measures, only bold and swift action. To weather the storm of uncertainty, we will not lower our sails. Instead, we will raise them. We will catch the winds of economic change and seize them for Canada. That means making generational investments and decisions that go beyond election cycles and quarterly reports. It means catalyzing both public leadership and private investment. And it means being relentless in order to position Canada's economy to be the strongest in the G7. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Hodgson, for your leadership on advancing projects that matter so much to regions like ours. It's now my pleasure to welcome our friend, Mark Selby, CEO of Canada Nickel Company, to share a few words about today's announcement and what it means for Crawford, for the region, and for Canada's critical minerals future. Mark.
Thank you, Minister Hodgson, and thank you, Mayor, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Canada Nickel, here in the heart of the Timmins Nickel District and Ontario's critical minerals corridor. I would like first to thank Minister Hodgson and your team for being here today and coming on the site visit. Your presence and today's announcement sends a clear signal that Canada is committed to competing and winning in a global race for critical minerals. I also want to acknowledge our partners, Matagami, Matachewan, Flying Post First Nation, with the Waban Tribal Council, as well as Tequatagmu Nation. Your trust and partnerships, from equity investments to major infrastructure components, are the foundation upon which we're building Crawford, realizing true economic reconciliation through true co-development. Thank you as well to our local mayors, our local suppliers, workers, and neighbors for being here today. It means a lot to be here for this announcement. It's because of this deep and local expertise, the significant rail, road, and power infrastructure that has been developed for more than a century of mining in this region, that we've been able to advance our Crawford project from the 5th drill hole in 2019 to today's milestone announcement, unlocking the world's largest nickel sulfide district in just over 6 years. Crawford alone is projected to generate over $70 billion in gross domestic product for the country, bring in billions of dollars in investment, and create more than 1,000 well-paying long-term jobs in this region. Today's announcement recognizes Crawford's potential to become the Western world's largest nickel operation, North America's only source of chromium, and a key supplier of other critical minerals such as cobalt, platinum, and palladium. And it also highlights Crawford's net zero carbon design. The tailings from Crawford and all our Timmins Nickel District projects can naturally sequester millions of tons of CO2 annually. This enables us to deliver clean, reliable nickel with a made-in-Canada climate advantage, in stark contrast to the high carbon, high environmental impact nickel produced in Indonesia under Chinese-controlled supply chains. When you combine that with Northeast Ontario's robust infrastructure, this carbon storage potential creates the opportunity for one of the world's first zero-carbon industrial clusters in this region. Would like to talk some more in my closing comments here about nickel and Canada as a whole. As the first of hopefully multiple nickel projects by Canada Nickel in the Timmins Nickel District, and the most advanced of several similar next-generation nickel projects across Canada, I am equally excited about the potential for Canada to once again become a leader in world nickel production. Given Canada's significant national nickel endowment, I look forward to working with other projects, our partners, and governments to help attract additional downstream investment to create the fully integrated critical mineral supply chains, from specialty steels to batteries to aerospace, defense, and advanced manufacturing, to ensure Canada's long-term strategic competitiveness. And most importantly, ensure that the value of Canadian nickel is realized here in Canada. In closing, I'm hoping to welcome all of you back in just over a year for a ribbon cutting ceremony here for Crawford, and hopefully multiple ribbon cuttings in the near future as we unlock the potential of the Timmins Nickel District and the potential of a Northeast Ontario zero carbon industrial cluster. Crawford is ready. The Timmins Nickel District is ready. Canada can be a leader in nickel once again. Thank you to all of you for coming today.
Has a nice ring to it. Thanks, Mark. I'd now like to invite Carolyn Sponkin to begin the media availability portion of today's event.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous. We will now open the floor to questions from media. So if reporters in the room have a question, can just raise their hand. I'll pass the microphone around. Before you start your question, if you can please just say your name and what outlet you're reporting from, as well as if your question is for one of our specific speakers. We will have time for one question, one follow-up, and we'll start in the room and then move to journalists joining us virtually.
Hi, I'm Nicole Stoffman with the Daily Press. I have a question for Mark. So, Mark, our local resident geologist, Zainab Azadbakht, has said that if successful, the Crawford project would be the first of its kind in the world to produce from low-grade nickel in ultramafic rock. Can you describe in plain language the technology that is going to get us there?
Yeah, so actually the very first deposit of this kind was it was Mount Keith in Western Australia that's been operating for about 30 years. The key process is basically the same steps that you'd see in a lot of mine milling operations, but because the grade is low, you just have to build it at a certain scale to make it work. And we add one simple physical separation step as it goes through the mill, and then we end up producing a very high grade concentrate at the end. So it's actually a pretty straightforward process.
So it's not new technology?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, that didn't count as a follow-up, did it? One more follow-up. Okay. Can you provide an example of how the community knowledge that you collected at last year's virtual open house and public information center has been incorporated into the project's design?
Yeah, I think in terms of the impact statement, we had each of the First Nations communities do their own a community consultation and reports and feed that into the project. So we've made a number of changes to the project itself. One of the key design things that we looked at is just in terms of water discharge points. Could the easiest, cheapest thing for us to do would be to discharge it into the Matagami River. But the best thing for the region and the feedback that we got was to actually create multiple discharge points, which are more expensive for us to do, but is the right thing in terms of, the overall region.
Thank you.